As everyone's giving you shit about the GSP fight and the guy that's next in the division not getting the title shot, Conor McGregor is over here angling for the Mayweather fight, not even in the sport.
Yeah.
Forget the division, not even in the sport. And nobody's really giving him shit, which is funny. But Mayweather officially, I guess, or officially, unofficially, I don't know exactly what officially means, but he came out of retirement, released a statement saying, stop talking, sign the money on the line. And I believe, I don't know if it's a rumor or if it's confirmed, they booked a venue in Vegas for June.
Really? I saw the video where Floyd said that. He seems to be in England at the moment, judging by all the people in the crowd. In fact, I know he is. He was at some club in Liverpool, doing a little tour around England by the looks of it. But, yeah, I mean, you can't blame Conor for that. Jeez, who wouldn't take that? Win or lose. Well, Conor's got nothing to lose. He's got nothing to lose in that. You never know. Floyd's coming out of retirement. He hasn't fought for a little bit. Conor's got that big left hand. He's got power. And then the fight is boxing. So you never know. You never know. You can never say never. And of course, both guys stand to make a shit ton of money out of it. So yeah, I'm all for it. To be honest, I'd love to see it, and I'm all for everybody making money. So good for them. Is it going to happen? I don't know, because it's so hard. You got so many variables. You got Floyd and Conor, they've got to agree on a purse, and you've probably got the UFC to agree on a split. But the UFC are business people as well, WME. If the pot is big enough and the percentage is equal to a big enough amount of money, then they're not going to say no. So my bet is that fight will happen. I think it will happen. Will it happen in June? I don't know. That might be a bit too soon. But from what I understand as well, I was talking to somebody in Las Vegas, and I heard that Floyd recently got scammed of a lot of money. The number was very, very big. So I don't think Floyd needs the money, but he wants to replace this money that he got swindled out of, apparently. Yeah, I've heard that from a friend of a friend of a friend.
Floyd put a picture on Instagram that shows his net worth $650 million. Then Conor's net worth $2.5 million, and then he wrote, "Before you ask for $25 million, be worth more than $25 million. You have a 2 and a 5 right, but you meant to say $2.5 million, not $25 million." I love like rich people are trolling each other with what their net worth is. What a good life.
It's crazy. No, but listen, I think it's fair to say, well, I know for a fact Conor's net worth is more than $2.5 million, not because, I've studied his books or pried into his private details, but, the numbers he's been doing and the pay-per-view he's been generating, etc., etc. That net worth is bollocks. That net worth is bullshit. That is wrong. And I'm as sure as that as the sun is going to come up tomorrow after tonight. So, yeah, he's worth more than 2.5. How much was Floyd worth again? 650?
$650 million.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. Well, I don't think Conor's worth 650. So he's got him beat, that's for sure. But he's worth more than 2.5. But you're right. What a weird world we live in. But yeah, I guess that's a chance for Conor really to become the greatest fighter of all time.
It really is. I think
it really
too.
is. Because he, love him or hate him, he did amazing in the UFC. And then now, if he was to take out perhaps maybe one of the greatest boxers that ever lived, yeah, that would be something. That would be incredible, and you can't deny it.
Look, I'm sure the odds are probably astronomical in the favor of Mayweather, but there's something about Conor McGregor. I don't know what it is. There's like an it factor, right? You can't put your finger on it. There's something about him that makes me go like. I throw all logic out the window where I go like, well, no, he's not going to beat Floyd Mayweather at boxing, the thing that Mayweather is debatably the greatest of all time at. But there's this weird little thing that I can't really put my finger on it that makes me go, I think there's a chance he's going to knock him out. I think there's a chance he's just going to go in there, he's going to throw a big shot, he's going to land it, and he's going to change history. It's going to change the trajectory of combat sports for the rest of humanity. And I think if he lands that shot, he in one punch, I think he destroys boxing. I think it kills boxing. Okay, that's it. It's over. And I believe that.
No, you're right. You're right. There is an opportunity for him to do that, because that would send the message that there's better fighters in mixed martial arts than what there is in boxing. You're right, because the storyline would definitely be boxing versus MMA, and you'd have all the boxing purists sniggering to themselves and laughing and saying, this is ridiculous, this joke, thinks he's going to come over here and beat Floyd. And of course, you got all the MMA fans, all hoping for Conor to win. So that would be, it's an interesting dynamic. It really does put a twist on it.
At this point, you're the champion. You move the goalpost, as far as you can really move it.
Sure.
In terms of this profession. Where do you move the goalpost now?
Well, now it's about cementing a decent legacy as a champion. Now, I know, of course, that's going to sound controversial to a lot of people because a lot of people are giving me shit. Don't think I don't see some of those comments on Instagram or on Twitter. I know a lot of people say, that I still haven't fought a real contender. And it's like, well, I knocked out, pound for pound, one of the best in the world. And then the UFC offered me Dan Henderson. And now they've offered me GSP. But I'm very aware the goalpost is to beat GSP, and then the goalpost is to definitely face Yoel Romero or Jacare, whichever one is the number one contender at that time. So that's where it's at now. The goalpost now is just cementing my legacy. I don't want to be a champion that everyone says is selling out and this and that and avoiding all the top contenders, because I haven't done that my entire life. So I certainly don't want to do that now. But if somebody's going to offer me a fight against somebody with a proven pay-per-view track record like GSP over Yoel Romero that only has 20,000 followers on Twitter as opposed to GSP's several million, it's a no-brainer. It's an absolute no-brainer. And the number one contender will always be there after that fight. So, that's where the goalpost is now, bud.
Well, here's the funny part. Look, I understand if you're a sports columnist or if you're a fan, I understand some of the people going like, shit, why have rankings if you're not going to give the number one contender?
Yeah, well, that's what Kelvin Gastelum said at the weekend as well.
Yeah. I understand that as a fan or an analyst or somebody else, but for fighters to say it, that's the thing that kind of bugs me. And specifically Kelvin, and his quote was, because what's the point of having contenders? What's the point of having rankings if we're not going to follow the rankings? If we're not going to follow the number one contenders?
Sure.
It just doesn't make sense, blah, blah, blah. So here's the thing that bugs me. Any fighter in the world would make the exact same decision that you're making for the exact same reason. Nobody would, and I don't feel like enough fighters are coming out and going, well, no, obviously the number one guy at 185 should fight for the title, but don't give Bisping shit. He's going to make the $1 million or the multi-million-dollar payday. Anybody else in that position would also do the same thing.
100%. That's what I've been saying for, I don't know, ever since this fight was made. Several people wanted the fight. UFC offered me. I did speak to Dana when he originally offered me the fight. I said, is this going to happen? He's like, get it out of your head. And I kind of forgot about it. They offered it to me, and I'm not going to say no for the reasons that you just said. And as you say, Yoel, Kelvin, anyone, Tyron Woodley, they all would have accepted it. And on top of that, I still feel that it's still a very, very good matchup. I mean, I know that Joe Rogan, came out and criticized a little bit, and I responded to that, and that's kind of done the rounds on the internet now. But as I said before, the number one contenders are still going to be there. So I'm going to take on GSP, hopefully beat him, because he's a tough bastard. He had a fantastic career and pretty much beaten everybody he ever stepped into the octagon with. So that fight isn't a given. And it's a very credible matchup. And it's a champion, a guy that retired as champion, coming back and facing a champion. That's a fantastic storyline. It's two old school guys. I've been around the UFC for, a very, very long time, as has George. So I feel the matchup is very, very credible. And as I say, afterwards, we'll move on. But and Kelvin did say that. And you know why? Because they all want to fight for the belt. And I get the frustration on your end. If you want to fight for the belt and there's a marquee matchup happening that's going to maybe slow down progression in your division, yeah, that's going to frustrate you a little bit anyway. But Kelvin, buddy, slow your roll. You're not quite there yet anyway. You just beat up, an old age pensioner with bitch tits and Tim Kennedy that looked like he'd been, lifting weights and not doing any cardio whatsoever. So slow your roll, buddy. I get it, but you're not there. You're not a number one contender.